Well, hello, everybody. I'm Del Shores.
I'm Emerson Collins, and you're watching The Del and Emerson Show.
Straight talk.
Real gay. Hi, Del Shores.
Hello, Emerson Collins. How are you?
Oh, so good. On today's show, we're going to do that QAnon queen, Marjorie Taylor-Greene, the million moms that are mad at eHarmony, the Lincoln Project, Anderson QAnon, the Dildo on display, Kathy Griffin, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details of that meth, murder, incest marriage story.
Woo, that story.
Lots of fun things.
Yes.
How's your Tuesday?
My Tuesday is pretty damn good. I like it not raining, Emerson. I like the sun out. It makes me happier. I rescued a dog. I returned a dog to its owner today that got out, a little pug, and you know that it's the little things. I was late for our writing session because I rescued a pug.
Look, you being neighborly, giving from your heart and your spirit to your community from a safe distance.
Well, I'm obsessed with my dogs, and your dog, who's my dog, Gracie, does escape every now and then, and it's nice when she comes back.
Yeah.
So how are you? You good?
Fine enough. I'm fine enough. We're going to call it that. No real complaints, not sitting too hard on the edge. Didn't do as much this afternoon as I coulda, shoulda, or woulda, as Shirley Ralph said in Sister Act 2.
As Samantha said in season 4 of Sex and the City just last night on my TV.
But exciting things. Mayor Pete is now officially a secretary, and I believe the internet has decided that the official use of his multiple names is Secretary Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete is his name. Secretary is the title. It goes on the front.
Well, he's going to carry that mayor for a long time because we like to say Mayor Pete.
And also, my favorite part of it is, the title, the negotiation of his first status is the first Senate confirmed cabinet member, because they're trying to get around having to acknowledge that Richard Grinnell was technically the first LGBTQ cabinet level position holder.
Nobody had to vote on his bigoted ass. Nobody.
But even that, he had to be confirmed by the Senate for his ambassadorship. But the best part of all of it is he is so irritated at all of the internet, just like him and his weird fans upset at anybody who calls Secretary Mayor Pete the first. And I just enjoy that it's upsetting him so much today, given how much time he spends trolling on the internet.
I would not know. He's blocked me on Twitter. We're not friends anymore.
Oh, us Swan. I swear we really are going to have to be. He was at the mayor of Palm Springs yesterday. He's at Gavin Newsom all the time. This man is going to run for something in California. It's the only reason I keep talking about him.
I have a question. Okay, I'm going to create a scenario. You and we're walking down Palm Canyon Boulevard, just the two of us. We're hanging out. The pandemic's over, and Richard Grinnell is coming right towards us. What would you do, Emerson?
Nothing.
You would just walk on.
Yes. It is a waste of my time and my energy to have a confrontation with him in front of nobody. It's not going to change his mind. He doesn't believe in anything. He's a professional troll. It might make me feel good to yell at him, but it would not do anything or change anything. And if there's not an audience, what is the point?
You know what I'd do? I would do the Lorraine Shores turnaround church look like this. And then just walk on by. We knew we were in trouble when we got that look.
That is absolutely correct. It's also Groundhog Day today. That groundhog, Puxatawny Paul, Pete, saw his shadow 6 more weeks of winter, like we know the difference. It's like it's been Groundhog Day for a year.
I don't care.
It don't matter.
I've never, ever celebrated Groundhog Day. I watched that movie, but I never celebrated it.
I've never even seen the film.
You
know what I didn't realize? I didn't realize how big the groundhog was. This has been happening every year my entire life, and I always see the headline and whatever. That man holding that groundhog, it is huge.
Is it the same one every year till he dies? I want to know.
There's multiple. Because I don't know that they can stake out. Is anybody here from Puxatawny that knows?
It happens in that one city, that one down. Yeah.
That one, but like, are they stalking this poor groundhog's den all year long to make sure he's there? I mean, or do they just take one from the zoo, stuff it down a hole, and see what happens?
Have there been multiples? I want to know if it's a family thing, if it's like it's passed on, like royalty, like the Queen, groundhog royalty.
Yes. Puxatawny is both the place and the title. So, it's like if he were Pete, Puxatawny Secretary Mayor Pete.
There you go. Well,
and then it's also the beginning of Black History Month. So that started yesterday, which I was thinking about must be interesting for Black LGBTQ people, right? Black History Month in February, Pride Month in June. And it's just when corporations and big organizations do the most to do the least for representation. It's got to be a little exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I'm glad they have. I am glad we have it. And don't we have those? Remember when we were kids, we had 2 President's Day, but don't we have like just one now that's coming up? I mean,
yeah, they combined it's one President's Day.
They were like, Lincoln and Washington. You're just not important enough to have your own day. Let's bring them together. I mean, is there anybody else in February? Is there anybody else?
That's it. Wrap them all up. And also, I was actually, and truly focusing this month for me personally on Black LGBTQ people. I read this fascinating story about this bisexual woman in the UK that ran a speakeasy of sorts, an unofficial bar in her basement in the late 70s. It's really interesting because there is a lot of, we only know what we learn in class in our history books or what we absorb through the communities we're a part of. So there are so many stories we don't know, and focusing on those is great.
There you go. Well, all right.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. It looks like lots of the regulars are here. What we do here is the LGBTQ news and nonsense. And we are going to go ahead and kick it off today. I try not to give these people air, but she is an elected official. So QAnon Queen, Marjorie Taylor-Greene. Now, if y'all been paying attention, even today, there's lots of movement. Apparently, GOP leader of the House, Kevin McCarthy, is meeting with her this afternoon after the Democrats in the House are calling for her committee assignments to be stripped. She does not seem to be planning to walk back some of her most extreme statements, though she did finally admit that Parkland and Newton, those shootings actually happened and weren't fake. But at one point, she claimed the California wildfires were started by Jewish space lasers. So that's a bit
what is that? Jewish space laser.
Like, how do you get, I don't understand how you even get to that. It's like, oh, of course, like, ma'am, did you fall asleep watching the Cartoon Network at 2 a.m. high and just think that you're some kind of dream of one of those little shows was a reality? I'd say bless her heart, but she's not even worth that.
I'm telling you, Emerson, I really believe that she needs to spend more time focusing on getting her hair right. She looks like an old stripper. She needs low lights and highlights and a hot oil treatment.
Correct. Xana said, do you think she really believes it? Here's the scary thing. I really do think she does. I think she's not all that bright. I think she's one of those people that got sucked in by Facebook memes and YouTube rabbit holes. You look at all of those comments she was making. They found ones about Lindsey Graham, talking about liking and responding to it, saying that Nancy Pelosi should be killed. I do think she's in the category of fanatic that is a true believer, not in the Matt Gaetz, those people that are taking advantage of it to build a base.
Yeah, I think she's crazy. I think she's crazy, and I think that's what's dangerous about the support that we're seeing from her for her. And as you know, that they're going to have a talking to with her.
Literally, like this evening.
Right now.
At the same time, she's co-sponsoring a bill to ban flying what she calls hate American flags, including pride flags at U.S. embassies. Unofficially called the Old Glory Only Act, it would prohibit the display of anything but the American flag at embassies. This South Carolina representative, Jeff Duncan, is the primary sponsor, and he's introduced this bill multiple times and it never goes anywhere. But in the middle of her conspiracy land, she has time to put out a press release saying, President Biden's State Department has already raised a flag over our embassies that doesn't represent the vast majority of Americans. Yeah, bitch, that's the point. We're only like 5 to 7% of the population. That's the reason it's been marginalized. In the past, rogue members of the State Department flew the flag of the radical Marxist group, Black Lives Matter. The domestic terrorists represented by that flag, Black people, have burned down our cities with the mission of defunding our police. We should not be flying a flag of a group who wants to erase our history and bring mass destruction to our country through communism. I mean, it's just a YouTube conspiracy theory video word salad.
It's just disgusting. And here, I was thinking about that today, when she took back that, the Parkland actually existed. And I don't know if she has with some of the other ones, but
just the shootings,
but all of that was just a reason, was just saying, I want to keep my guns. That's all it was. That's the reason they went there. Oh, it didn't happen because I want to keep my guns. It's so fucking disgusting.
Yep. And as Rob says, she already put up a bill to impeach President Biden. It hasn't gone anywhere, but
I don't think that's going to pass. I just don't think she has a lot of leverage there. Even Mitch McConnell went after her,
Well, it was very interesting to see what's happening in the Republican Party, right? Because clearly Mitch on the Senate side has said that he can distance from her and leave it Kevin McCarthy's problem in the House, because Mitch said it. And then a number of Republican senators got on board with basically, we don't need the bonkers people with us. And so it leaves it all in Kevin McCarthy's hands to deal with his errant members of the House. Mitch desperately wants control back of where the Republican Party is headed.
Well, but he didn't say her name. That's what was the interesting thing. Did not mention her name. So anyway, well, onward. Let's continue with some more bigotry news from South Carolina. We've got State Senator Richard Cash argued recently that a proposed bill to ban abortion as soon as a fetus heartbeat can be detected didn't go far enough. He said it was the continuation of the flat-out rebellion against God's moral law. Now, he went on to say that, trashing marriage equality and trans people. And here's his quote. He goes, "The Supreme Court came along and said, no, anybody can get married. 2 men, 2 women. We're going to throw away everything we know about marriage and human history. We're going to throw out all the state laws that might regulate or govern this ancient institution. You know what? We don't think about that anymore. It's always on the next thing in this downward spiral. Now we're talking about transgenderism. And it's frankly so scary. It's hard for me to wrap my head around it that someone can wake up one day in a man's body and say, I think this is all messed up. I think I'm a woman, or vice versa. Now we have a president that wants to say if the boy she says she's a girl, then she should be allowed to compete, maybe even use the bathrooms and showers, because you cannot deny these transgender persons their basic rights. Whew. And then, he said one other thing. He said this all started in the 1960s, which means that he was pointing to the civil rights movement. So there was a little bit, wasn't enough to go anti-LGBTQ. He had to throw in a little racism that was very, very concealed just with the date. That was my interpretation.
Absolutely.
But South Carolina LGBTQ organizations quickly condemned his homophobic and transphobic spewing as dangerous. Well, of course they did. But, here he is on the floor, literally on the floor, spewing these, the Senate floor of South Carolina, spewing this bullshit.
Yeah. And, he even went so far as to say that abortion shouldn't be allowed for women who have been raped or incest. And one of his Republican female colleagues had to get up and pull him back. It's that literally, it's just a man whining a speech of make America great again. And when America was great to him was in the 1950s, when white men ruled the world, little women stayed at home barefoot in the kitchen, and black people, people of color, LGBTQ people, just nobody knew them. They just weren't around.
And we could watch Gone with the Wind and feel sorry for the South.
Most of that was Scarlett's fault. She's ornery. She brought that on herself.
It is sad though. We joke and we go to, I read in this ridiculous, but if you want to go and see the tape, I studied it this morning. I wasn't too far off. That's the way he was speaking on that floor.
Just a 6-minute rant at the grasping for old power And back to that, but in targeting and hammering on trans people, like literally the conversation was about abortion, which is about all women, but like then using that as an opportunity to slam trans people once again in a state legislature like we've been talking about.
And bring up the 60s.
Well, of course.
Started in the 60s.
And speaking of the 60s, so this next story, I want to introduce you right here. Here on your right is Dominic Broadus Jr. He was a black man who was shot and killed in Florida in 2018. On the left, Gardner Kent Frazier, the white man who shot him in his front yard, claims he did so in self-defense. Now, the reason I want to talk about this, here is a LGBTQ black man, and what this white man did demonstrates how much racism impacts how LGBTQ people are treated, because Frazier called 911 after he shot Broadus, and when asked if he knew Frazier, said, I believe I do. More backstory. Frazier is the son of a former Baker County deputy, so the investigation was turned over to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. They believe that before he called 911, Frazier called a cousin. The cousin said to call his dad, the former deputy, who then said to call 911. They also believe Broadus had a cell phone that has never been recovered, and the assistant state attorney believes that Frazier got rid of the cell phone. Why? Because on Frazier's cell phone, they found deleted text messages that they recovered 35 texts and 115 phone calls between these two men, many of them sexual in nature. So you following? This white man shot this black man in his front yard, likely threw away the black man's cell phone, then called his father, a former deputy, to ask him what to do. Frazier says he shot Broadus in self-defense, but Dominic Broadus Sr. said in court, in order for the defendant to hide his feminine bisexual nature, he executed my son and my grandson's father. He fatally shot my son in the back of the head twice. I don't know that you're standing your ground shooting someone in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Trying to destroy any evidence of their relationship by deleting all text from his phone and hiding my son's phone, then calling 3 people before reporting the shooting to the proper authorities. Because the cell phone was gone, Frazier was only charged with tampering with evidence and sentenced to 1 year in jail. An additional bonus, Frazier's family also has deep ties to the Ku Klux Klan.
That's just horrifying. 1 year and 2 bullets in the back of someone's head.
So the reality of this man's life, right? He is secretly gay or bisexual in a family that are members of the KKK. Something happens between him and the man he is clearly having sexual relationship with. He shoots the man twice in the back of the head, steals his cell phone, likely to hide the evidence, and then calls his father to make sure he does the right thing, likely, allegedly, to get himself off the hook. That is the experience of this black man who is now dead in Florida.
Yeah, well, shame on all of the ones involved in the cover-up and everybody on that jury. It's just.
Well, no, the jury can't do anything. That's all they charged. They get.
Oh, I see.
Because Florida has stand your ground, which means on your property, you're supposed to treat in some capacity, but that is the danger of stand your ground laws. Basically, you can do it and there's no complaint, even though he shot the man in the back of his head.
Stand your ground, but he still got a year. So there was some
only for tampering with evidence. That's the only charge they charged him.
Well, I hope that somebody in prison just says something nasty to him. And I say, I'm thinking something else. I just can't say it on the air. All right. Well, let's talk about the 1 million moms who are really 103,281 today.
I love that you check every time. It makes my heart
every time. They're not going up, Emerson. They're not. They were 105 last time we had a story about the 1 million moms. So they're back at it. Y'all, they're mad. Oh, they're mad about eHarmony because they're featuring lesbians in their new ad campaign. The campaign is called Here for Real Love, and it launched in December. 1 million moms rage. This eHarmony ad brainwashes children and adults by desensitizing them and convincing them that homosexuality is natural, when in reality it is unnatural love that is forbidden by Scripture, just like love rooted in adultery is forbidden. Homosexuality is unnatural and immoral. You know, it's a little redundant what their statement is. And then they cite the great Scripture, Romans 1:26 through 27, and it makes it very clear. So they therefore 1 million moms will continue, well, actually 103,281 will continue to stand up for biblical truth. Now, the irony of this campaign is that eHarmony, just a few years ago, I don't know if y'all remember this, they got in a lot of trouble with the LGBT community because they were heteros only, because they said we're Christian. So it's a little interesting that they have gone to the place of making openly gay, lesbian, kissing ad, and the moms are mad. Ooh, they're mad. But I just want to say one thing. I'm going to quote Sissy Hickey in A Very Sordid Wedding when they said, when citing that scripture in Romans, I said, that was Paul. Jesus said nothing. And Luttrell goes, nothing.
It is really funny. You know what? Just lesbians eating ice cream. Lord, they got a lot of free time on their hands.
Well, the food wasn't good. That one couldn't cook. She couldn't cook. So
I know, but that's right. That's why you go on eHarmony, to find a complimentary person. You can't cook. You say that one of your high priorities is somebody that does well in the kitchen.
And also someone who's honest and says, no, I'm not going to pretend that this is good Creole etouffee. It's not. It's not good.
I just enjoy way back when I used to love filling out dating profiles more than I liked actually having to match with people. When I was on OkCupid, I must have answered 2,000 questions because I just thought the questions were fun. And way back before eHarmony was open to LGBTQ people, I did a profile. I didn't publish it, but just because I wanted to see what the questions were.
I was a hetero guy?
Yeah, just like if I was looking for a woman.
Did it have anything about anal sex in the hetero?
It did not, strangely enough. I must not have gotten to the Sodom and Gomorrah section of the question.
Well, I'm still on OkCupid, but every now and then I get a notification someone likes you, and but the thing about it, you go to those. Here's my problem with OkCupid, and it's all about those questions too. Is I'm very competitive. So when I see that they've answered 16 more than I have, that there's 16 that I have not answered, I start answering those questions and then see how much the percentage stays there or goes down. That's
what I'm watching. Oh, it went up. Oh, it went down.
And then you're wondering, what did I answer wrong?
Yes, Becca said it's because they're not matching well on their site, not getting any themselves, and the bitch and the gays are getting some. I mean, honestly, I don't feel like there was a big run on LGBTQ people running to eHarmony once that lawsuit happened back.
Well, you know what? I mean, eHarmony. I'm all about here. I'm all for progress. I'm all for, I am. And I said it many, many times about Biden and about Obama and about Hillary when they changed their stance on gay marriage. But when you were really bigots and you just had to change because you were forced to by a lawsuit, I'm not too fond of those companies. I'm not going to give them my $14.95 a month to see.
That's too much. Matchmaker, find me a match. Make me a match for less than that. Jared said, I'm guessing they didn't ask cut or uncut.
Oh. When does that come up? I think that may come up on OkCupid, though. It gets very graphic. I mean, what sexual position are you? And all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So, all right. If you want to know more about me, go to OkCupid.
This next story is rather serious. This is John Weaver, one of the co-founders of the Lincoln Project, which you are likely familiar with from their work as Republicans to counter the effort to reelect Donald Trump. But several weeks ago, the American Conservative and Forensic News published a story about him sending inappropriate, sexually explicit messages to several young men, abusing his power with young men who wanted to work in politics. Well, at the time, Weaver released an apology for making men uncomfortable in interactions he thought were consensual, He also came out at the same time. He is married and has kids. Well, now, just the other day, the New York Times released a story saying 21 men have accused Weaver of sexually harassing them. One 19-year-old said Weaver started messaging him when he was 14, later asking him at 17 if he was still in high school, and then when he turned 18, saying, I want to come to Vegas, take you to dinner and drinks and spoil you. Resend me your stats, or I can guess if that's easier or more fun. So Weaver sent blatant requests for sex to at least 10 of the men. 2 men were offered jobs with the Lincoln Project in exchange for photos or sexting. Only one of those who came forward said it led to a consensual physical encounter. The Lincoln Project's other co-founders say they were unaware of his horrendous behavior and put out a statement condemning him. He hasn't been with them since last summer when he went on a sick leave, and he will not be returning. But Rick Weaver, you may never have heard of him, but he worked with George H.W. Bush, John McCain, Rick Perry, John Huntsman, and John Kasich on state and national level campaigns. He's incredibly influential in the Conservative Party. So this was a really big deal, and an example of somebody making overt sexual advances that at the very least made people uncomfortable, certainly made people who thought he was engaging with him because they want to work in politics and he's in politics uncomfortable, to the point of harassment and engaging with somebody underage in some capacity over a long period of time.
Well, I'm glad you moved forward. I mean, it's like it's not something that sits well with people who keep those secrets, those when they're groomed like that. I mean, we saw it with this week, a big story with what's her name, Rachel Evans Woods, with Marilyn Manson, which, exposing him like that. But it was for that person. I mean, I feel bad for the boys. I feel like that, they have to, there's so much shame there. And, even if you're complicit, even you're 14 years old and there's, you're just discovering your sexuality. It's just, I've been using this word a lot today, but it's just disgusting when people prey on youth when they're so vulnerable.
And it seems like this is in several categories. It was also when the first round of stories happened, Donald Trump Jr. jumped on it as a big sign of hypocrisy, really putting the story out. Some people discounted it in the first day or so because of that. And it was a conservative, I believe, gay man who first started really talking about it. But a number of the young men who have talked about it are liberal. They are people who wanted to work in liberal politics or are liberal in general, who said, I don't want to have to be talking about this. And it's a range from like maybe uncomfortable to try to trade favors to definitively inappropriate. And from a man who also clearly the closet, it likely damaged him as well, and skewed where and when and what kind of people he pursued and for what reason. There's, but yes, to these men who came forward, all of the applause and also the frustration on their behalf that they need to say something. Many of them, 19 to 25. It's a rather young group of men who have no desire for this to be the thing they're known for on the internet as they begin careers, whether they're in politics or not. It's no victim wants this to be the reason people know their name.
Remind me that you said had the junior at the end of his name. It's like a vague memory.
Not familiar.
I'm doing very well with my not trolling all those people, Emerson. Doing very well.
And as Jake says, when a man in power does that to you, that shit stays with you your whole life, and that is a big part of sexual abuse, sexual assault, sexual harassment. Like there's different aspects to different things, but the awareness of somebody who has power over another individual and the way in which overtures are perceived and the way that power imbalance impacts it is such an important part of the nuance part of that conversation.
And if you're Greg Burgess, you turn it into art and write a play about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've reached the halfway point of our show. We've got some silly nonsense coming. Don't worry. I try to keep the pace and the story intensity varied. You enjoy what we do here. Thank you. We appreciate you showing up. If you show up and you're sitting on a pile of money you don't know what to do with, you can send us $1, $5, $10, $50, $5,000, whatever it is in your heart to give us as a tip on Venmo to @Emerson Collins or on PayPal to beardcollinshoresproductions@gmail.com. No expectation. We just appreciate your attendance. But if you want to contribute to us making the show, we are grateful for that.
We are very thankful when you do, and we will, but we won't stop. We won't stop if you don't, and we understand if you can't. And the best thing you can do is just show up and be with us and be in our little sandbox, our little.
That's right. We do it.
Box. All right. Well, onward. And you were saying, the nonsense, and this is truly one of those, but it is also horrific. I don't know if y'all read this, but the headline, this is the headline. Woman strangled sister's boyfriend after injecting him with meth, then her sister married their dad. I said dad.
Mean, like just the headline alone.
Yes. So Anna Marie Chowdhury, I guess, I don't know how to say her name, told the sordid story in court. About 2 weeks before Valentine's Day, her sister Amanda McClure and her boyfriend John McGuire were coming off meth pretty bad, pretty hard. It's coming off meth. And they decided to brew a new batch, as you do, with ingredients that the girl's father, Larry McClure Sr., helped them buy. So it didn't cook up right. But Amanda kept the liquid in a jar. I don't know if she thought, well, maybe it's bad now, but it'll turn good. I don't know.
I don't know if meth ferments like wine, but maybe she thought.
Maybe she said, that's a lot of Sudafed we used. I just hate to waste it. Then on Valentine's Day, after a dinner of steak, potatoes, I love the detail, and a bottle of wine, they convinced McGuire to play a trust game where they tied up his feet. As he reached down to untie them, Amanda bashed him in the head with the wine bottle. Then Anna says her father told her if she knew what was best for her children and wanted them to live, she would do what was said. So Larry and Amanda, y'all follow this? Larry and Amanda accused McGuire of being a federal informant. While he was hogtied on the bed, they threatened to inject him with a truth serum. Amanda gave Anna 2 syringes full of the bad batch of meth and said since she had nursing experience that she had to inject him in the carotid. Is that the way you said? Carotid? Carotid artery. She did. And then they told her she had to finish it and strangle him. So she strangled him with a trash bag. And as soon as he was buried, Larry and Amanda, father and daughter, they started having a relationship, y'all. Then they drove to Virginia to get married, which there's never anything in this story that says, because it's legal for father and daughter to get married in Virginia. I don't know why they went to Virginia, but they went there and made Anna go with them as a witness. So on the wedding night.
Hold on, pause for a second. I feel like here's a visual, y'all. So this is the father, Larry. This is his daughter wife, Amanda. This is Anna, the daughter they may do the strangling, and this is her boyfriend that's dead.
Dead, Larry. So, I mean, not Larry. Larry's the father. I'm getting mixed up myself. So as soon as he was buried, Larry and Amanda, I already said that. So on the wedding night, McGuire's body was dug up. They dug him up. They dismembered him. Then they reburied him in 2 different places because Larry wanted to landscape the property for sale. So now,
what do you think he was going to landscape?
I don't know. The back of their trailer?
Was he going to put in begonias?
I have
needed that body out of the way. Sorry, go ahead.
As I have written before, there are so many details I would love to know more about this. I have to fill in some blanks. So Larry, now who is a registered sex offender, he confessed his role in the murder in a letter saying, and this is where he will win you over. He said, I just want it over. No trial, no taxpayers' money spent for my trial. The body was found on the, parts of the body here and there on the family property in shallow graves after Larry McClure Sr. told the police where to find it while he was questioned for another offense. Oh, it's complicated. Amanda McClure got 40 years. Larry McClure got life, no possibility of parole, both convicted. And Anna Marie Chaudhary pled guilty to second-degree murder. And when asked by the judge if she knew what she was doing was wrong, she said, "Yes, Your Honor, but look at my other options. I didn't feel I had a choice." They have not sentenced her yet. I went and tried to find out. She's up for sentencing, and she's also up for 40 years. And both of them were up for 10 to 40 years, and Amanda got 40. So I'm kind of thinking that Anna's going to get 40, y'all.
I think she'll get less. She's the accessory. You know, I think that's going to be, I think she won't get as much. But anyway, the story being the important part, I mean, the journey of this piece, you know, obviously, certainly tragic for this man who lost his life. Truly, truly not laughing at that. But like the bonkers nature of like bad meth, this trust game, you have to do it. Dig up the body. I didn't even include, so we could keep the story shorter, the part where Amanda made Anna dig the body up and she was convinced he was still alive because she thought his hair was growing in the ground. Oh, it does grow. It still can grow. I've read about that. Your hair keeps growing after you die? It grows a little bit after you're dead. Yeah. How much? Like, do you come out looking like Fabio if you just lay no, but it is. Yeah, no, somebody Google it right now. I'm pretty positive I'm saying the truth about that. So she's right. But here's where I disagree with you, Emerson. She should get 40 years. She shot him with those syringes because she had nurse practitioner experience. After her father strangled him. She strangled him with a trash bag. After her father threatened her children, I believe that they will probably take some of that into account if she was pressured. I don't think she's going to get those kids ever. Her father threatened his own grandchildren. I mean, like I really wish they'd been smiling because I don't feel like there was a full set of teeth between the three of them, if I was guessing. Oof. That's a horrible story. I'm telling you, that is a Dateline waiting to happen. Yes, we know hair and nails both grow. What I want to know is how much. Like if I die with a buzz cut, can I end up looking like Aurora, the Sleeping Beauty? I don't know. I do not know the answer to that question, Emerson. Because what I'm really asking is it enough that she could have seen it? Is the point, you know? Oh, where she goes, oh, his hair is over his ears. Because he didn't go to a barber. She probably cut it for him. Yes. Or he had a Flowbee. And just the casual incest. You know what? We need to kill your boyfriend because you're mine now. And why? But we just can keep asking questions. We could just finish the show with this story. Why in the world did they drive to Virginia? Did they just think that they're less, they have no attention span in Virginia? They're going to pay less. He was a sex offender known to his local judiciary and court system, I would say. He was still her father. In Virginia, they don't know that. Because she has a different name. Right. But even if they don't, like, the point being, down at his local justice of the peace in what was it? Windusty? What was their town called? I feel like everybody knows everybody, and they thought, we'll go over there. Nobody knows. Well, I've got anxiety now. Move on. Let's move on. I enjoyed it. It was just, I don't know. I just laughed. I was like, nope, it's not really even about LGBTQ people, but I just needed to hear you tell that story, and I'm really grateful for it. You were so welcome, and thank you for letting me, because I have to tell you, when you sent it to me this morning, my jaw just dropped as I was reading it. I go, this cannot be for real. Yeah, here's the answer. Jig says, after death, dehydration causes the skin and other soft tissues to shrink. This occurs while the hair and nails remain the same length. So they appear longer. They don't grow. I'm a little worried that you know that information, Jigs. Well, I feel like he's got the Google. You said Google it. Okay. Just in fun. All right, we'll move on from the meth marriage, incest, murder extravaganza. I hope Taryn Manning is in the movie. She would be perfect. She'd be perfect for Amanda. She's just one of my favorite in that category. I love her so much. In fun representation news, the CW's announced a spinoff series from their Nancy Drew series called Tom Swift. The character originally appeared in 6 sci-fi mystery novels from the creator of Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, and it will be reimagined as a gay man and played in this new series by out actor T.N. Richards in a more sci-fi supernatural oriented series, kind of like the X-Files. So Richards will guest this year S. Swift on Nancy Drew. They'll work together, then launch his spinoff. He's appeared in The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, Dumplin' and Burden. So exciting. Out LGBTQ Black man playing an out gay character as the lead on the CW show. So exciting representation news.
Yes, it absolutely is. All right. Now, I don't know how many of you, like I did, watched the Anderson Cooper special the other night on QAnon, but it was fascinating. And it's still like in rotation on CNN, but ex-QAnon cult member sat down with Anderson Cooper. This was Saturday night. And let's just play that video. Roll that tape, would you, Emerson?
I sure will.
Thank you.
I believe that high-level Democrats and celebrities were worshiping Satan, drinking the blood of children.
Anderson, I thought you did that. And I would like to apologize for that right now. So I apologize for thinking that you ate babies.
Okay. I apologize for thinking that you ate babies.
Yes, and drank blood. I watched it, and he did believe it, and he sees the light now, as some of them are, but not all of them. He said, I just didn't believe it. I at one stage believed that QAnon was part of a military intelligence, which is what he says. But on top of that, that the people behind him are actually a group of fifth dimensional, interdimensional, extraterrestrial, bipedal bird aliens called blue Aeons? Wait, how do you say it?
Avians.
Oh, avians. I saw a Y on my sheet. I'm so sorry. The red squiggle made it look wrong. Anyway, I was so far down this rabbit hole and a black hole that I essentially picking and choosing whatever narrative I wanted to believe in. And what was really interesting about this, did you watch it, Emerson?
I did not.
It was really interesting because so many of the things, that they get from Q, when they did not come true, then they would justify why they didn't come true and then like up the ante, like, oh, but this is now going to happen. So, right now, many of them believe that I think it's March the 12th that Trump will be returned to power. And they have made him like this mega god, this demigod. And it's insane.
But I love that behind it all is blue avians, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, bipedal blue birds. Your daughter is here and says, oh, don't get me started on QAnon. I know way too much.
Oh, she does. She sends me shit all the time.
Well, and Rob even says, my dad believes the lies about Democratic. My dad is a Q follower. I can't get into, like, I enjoy like the Carrie and people who have fallen as far down the rabbit hole, like watching the QAnon people. Cause like, I keep not, because I'll do the same. I'll be like, oh, now I need to read everything that he ever wrote on the internet back when they were like, it's some high level military person. But as Xana says, classic cult conditioning. And there's humor to it, but also a truly terrifying aspect. Watching this reasonable looking, sounding, and seeming man say, I recently believed that you, Anderson Cooper of Vanderbilt, ate babies. I just believed that. Like I walked out to get the newspaper and thought Anderson Cooper eats babies, and then went back inside. Like that is a real thought held in real people's heads, and not people like the last story, people that seem quite reasonable, like this gentleman.
Yeah, it's what's really also kind of crazy is a lot of these things. I don't remember that flight log that Jeffrey Epstein was uncovered or something, and it was posted on Q. Q posted it, and then literally was being reported in mainstream news. So
it's also, the problem with all conspiracy theories, right, is that there will be moments or kernels of truth to something. That is what people always point back to. Like they were right about this one thing and use that as the therefore everything else is correct. And that is how we end up bringing it all the way back with Marjorie Taylor-Greene in Congress, somebody who believed and believes these things. And when you divorce any factual reality from the conversation. Our big cultural crisis, as much as it's extreme one direction or the other, is really about losing a shared reality of facts, like basic tenets of information and who is trustworthy and who isn't to receive information from. And once you decide you can't believe anything anybody in the real media says, mainstream media says, there's no way to change that person's mind.
That's right. So
Lord, it's dark. But also, I just imagine Anderson Cooper sitting there. I'm sorry that I believed you ate babies. What do you do with that? Like, what do you do with that? You know, he wants to say, I'm a Vanderbilt, bitches. I don't need this shit.
you know what? You're forgiven. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, and similarly, news, in China, they've started using a new kind of test for high-risk people for COVID. They're using anal swabs. Officials took anal swabs from residents of neighborhoods with confirmed COVID cases in Beijing last week, while those in designated quarantine facilities have also had them. A senior doctor at Beijing's Yuan Hospital, Li Tongzheng, says the anal swab methods can increase the detection rate of infected people as traces of the virus linger longer in the anus than in the respiratory tract. I don't see those catching on as the preferred method.
Is it wrong that I just had a vision of drive-through?
Drive-through anal swabs? What do? Just hang your asshole out the window and let them stick it in?
We're going to give you a minute. Just going to give you a minute.
You know, when you get the full panel of like STD stuff done, you know, it's like you pee in the cup, they take your blood, and then they also do that anal swab, you know, where it's that really long Q-tip and you swirl it a little bit and then you stick it in the thing and break it off. Have you ever had that?
Of course.
Yeah. I know that. I wasn't there with you, so
I was a big slut, so of course I've had those things.
Also, you know, right now that one doesn't feel good because it's just a dry Q-tip, basically. But, you know, if they could make it slightly comfortable, I can think some people might be volunteering just for the, you know, physical attention.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, let's go. A great clap back by Kathy Griffin this week on Twitter. Right after the Capitol invasion, Kathy Griffin said, fuck it. I'm just going to tweet that image that got her in so much trouble, got her on those no-fly list and got her basically canceled. Where, you know, she was holding Donald Trump's bloody head or, you know, ketchup head. So she tweeted it with it said, just resign now, you lost, it's over. So Danielle McCarty, who goes as Muscle Mommy Fit and Fit Patreon Mom online, responded saying, the despicable Kathy Griffin is at it again. Kathy then retweeted a screenshot of McCarthy's tweet with the message, oh, you shouldn't have tagged me. You were there on January 6th. You pulled your video, but I found it. Looks like you're a domestic terrorist, and now we all know it at Muscle Mommy Fit. Here's what happened. Someone sent Kathy that archived video that she had pulled down because, of course, she didn't want to get arrested. It was on Parler, and she's in her, there you have it. She's in a red Trump hat at the Capitol. And in it, she said, we got tear gassed when we were in the middle of prayer. We weren't even trying to rush the cops. So Kathy shared that screenshot of the video and said, hi, Danielle. What's that you called me again? Oh, yes, the despicable Kathy Griffin. Well, the FBI now has this video as well as the other ones you're featured in. Then Kathy retweeted the images from McCarthy's now private Instagram account, where her bio states that she is a patriotic woman, a lover of Jesus, America, family, and truth. Oh, Danielle, I bet she regrets the day that she fucked with Kathy Griffin.
I was about to say that would be terrifying to me.
No, that's not someone I want to mess with.
No, not in any way, shape, or form at any time. It's like when I first started going to gay bars as a closeted boy from Baylor on 18 and up night, and I'd go see the drag show and I'd hide in the back of the room because I didn't want that queen with the microphone to notice me and say something.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like Kathy's got a microphone at all times, everywhere.
Donna Day, you did not want Donna Day to take out her teeth and call you out.
Well, once she took out her teeth, it was fine because she knew she was drunk. It's before that, it was dangerous. Oh, but also, I mean, it is interesting. One of those women that was at the Capitol, that one Jen, I believe, from Midland, asked the judge yesterday or today, I believe, could she get time off from the process of the court case because she had pre-planned a trip with her employees to Mexico for February 18th through 21st. I said, ma'am, I don't think you're taking this seriously enough.
Well, obviously, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with sentencing and when they start that.
Yes, absolutely, and probably some of the first ones will sort of show us what's going to happen with the rest as they go along. But also, and relatedly, did you see any of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Instagram Live last night, where she talked about in detail her experience, what she felt hiding in Katie Porter's office, what that experience was like, and the trauma from her own past that she brought up that it actually triggered. And really hearing that from our officials, I hope that is also impactful when it comes to how people are charged and sentenced, because nobody was shot, nothing, so many of them who treated it like a party, but the psychological impact it had on the people who didn't know what was going to happen to them.
No one was shot. A policeman was bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher. I mean, come on. I loved Katie Porter so much after hearing that story, how she goes, come in here. I've got coffee. I've got snacks. I mean, just, I'm a mom. And she just really put on her mom hat and brought in Alexandria. It was a very sweet story.
And a great reminder that we all handle crisis differently. And so a story out of Oklahoma that's genuinely sad. Chloe, an 8-year-old former student at Rejoice Christian Schools in Owasso, Oklahoma, near Tulsa. The reason she is a former student, she told a fellow classmate, a fellow 8-year-old, that she had feelings for her. Then the vice principal called her in for a meeting to lecture her about how the Bible forbids same-sex relationships to this 8-year-old. After the meeting, her mother, Delaney Shelton, picked her up. The VP asked the mother what she thought about girls liking girls. Well, the VP was shocked and appalled when the mother replied, if we're being honest, I think it's okay. Delaney, the mother, said, my daughter was crying, saying, does God still love me? And the next day she got a call saying that Chloe and her 5-year-old brother were no longer welcome as students. Chloe said she felt really sad and betrayed and kind of angry, but also she feels so loved and supported. Thank you so much to everyone who helped me feel better for being who I am. An 8-year-old saying she has a crush on a fellow student. Whether she grows up to be a member of our community or not, this school said this 8-year-old cannot go to our school because of the same-sex impulse. I mean, I feel like I had a crush on a tree, a lifeguard, somebody that worked in my daycare, like 8-year-olds.
Well, reading this story this morning when you sent it to me, it reminded me, and that story, I put it on my Instagram today. I told the story about when Caroline, my daughter, who is in the room right now listening, she decided she was a lesbian after she saw Sordid Lives and Ty came out and she told everybody, I'm a lesbian. And then a few months later, she got a crush on Xavier and was very upset that she had to tell me that she was no longer a lesbian. And I had to have that talk because my ex-wife said, you got to talk to her. And I said, Caroline, I will love you no matter if you're straight or gay. So then she was straight again. And she just got engaged. So there you go. A sweet.
And I love that because it is also a great reminder that children become the people you teach them to be. She knew it was okay in your household. So okay that she was worried if she wasn't. And whether this sweet girl, Chloe, grows up to continue to have same-sex attractions or not, it's lovely to know that her mother is going to support her regardless.
Well, and at that age, a lot of girls don't like boys. And right. So, it's so silly. It's so silly. Is it me? It's me. Oh, I can't believe it. It's the title about a blowjob. I got so wrapped up in that story. In Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia, a thief burst into a gas station. This is a crazy story. Demanded cash from the scared attendant. He then punched a male staff member in the face and took the money from the till. Now, the employee fled to the office where a co-worker was before escaping out the back door to call the police. The thief followed and demanded more cash from the safe when the 36-year-old female co-worker decided to stop him with what was described as an unusual method. She gave him a blowjob. So when the police arrived, the pair were lying half naked on the ground. And after a brief struggle, the suspect was arrested.
You know, the only thing I can assume from this story, this thief was hot.
That's what I thought. I said, oh my God.
Because there is no job I have ever worked where if someone tried to steal stuff from it, my thought would be, you know what I could do? Blow you till the police get here.
It's like Billy Joe in Sordid Wedding, the character you played. He walked in there with that gun in that convenience store.
Because let's drill down. If this is an hourly wage employee, you're not doing shit to stop somebody from stealing. In fact, in a lot of places they are taught, give them whatever they want, let them leave. That's what insurance is for. It's what the
Save your life.
Do not be a hero. So, or maybe she's the owner or related to the owner and felt it was important. But if not, he was just hot and she'd had a lot of time at home in the pandemic and said, I'm going to get some while we wait.
But you know what also is kind of unusual about this? I'm not sure that if I had the adrenaline and a gun in my mouth, a gun in my hand, and I'm robbing this store, give me your gun, give me your, then she goes, let me blow you. I'm not sure I could get hard.
Well, I know, but I looked, I couldn't find where it said for certain that he had a gun. So I don't even know what he was threatening, what it was threatening with.
He had a butter knife. He had a butter knife.
And also, like, yeah, did he just lay it down? And also, why did she need to get undressed to give the blowjob? It said they were both half naked. Like, I need to know the scene that happened in the office.
And there's as usual, Emerson, there's more blanks to be filled in.
Yes. And also, and what did he think? I mean, how hot is this employee also that he thought, you know what? I'm not going to get away with this money. I'm going to get some head before I go.
Yeah.
I mean, she must have some DSLs or something. I mean, what was the pitch? Hey, before you run out of here with the rolls of quarters we keep at the gas station, you want to.
I'm seeing Parker Posey from Waiting for Guffman. I'm seeing that she's the one who.
We do the cones, put stuff on them, and then we give the blowjobs to the thieves. All right. And then one old delightful, silly, you know, we've all been at home in pandemic doing Zooms and making mistakes. And BBC in Wales, this woman, Yvette Amos, appeared on the BBC in Wales to talk about unemployment in the pandemic. But please look closely right here. That is a dildo strong on her shelf next to a sign that says, think happy things. I understand why Yvette is thinking happy things. A lot of people said, oh my God, is she so embarrassed? I don't think that was an accident. You don't keep your dildos on the top shelf unless you're showing them off with pride for people to stop by. It's not that convenient. I should have decorated my set today with that blue dildo bracelet holder. That's the thing. Like, that's pride of place. Like, not in-stand table, maybe coffee table next to the couch if you haven't gotten off it in a couple of months. But up on the top shelf, that's not an accident. She knew. Good for you, Yvette.
Yeah, funny. Funny.
Oh, all right, y'all. Well, one more time before we go. If you enjoy the show and you want to send us a tip in gratitude, you sure can, and we'll be grateful for it. On Venmo to @Emerson Collins or on PayPal to Beard Collins Shores Productions @gmail.com. We've got a minute and a half left or so. Is everybody good? Everybody Tuesday okay? You know, we're cranking along through this week, I guess.
Yeah, we're getting through it. You go. I don't know about you, Emerson, but I'm good until about after this. Then I'll sink a little bit.
So that's our time that Blake and I have to feel stuff. We put on our ASMR videos. Y'all can see them on my Instagram. We change the location. We change the music while we make the dinner.
And then Sissy and I just cuddle. We just cuddle because she said I need to get out too.
And a remind one, Leslie said back about that gas station. I hope she gets Employee of the Month. I agree.
I agree.
For several months, at least. Like, she at least get a plaque, not one of those sad plastic ones like that's a printout from the computer. All right.
Well, I'm just glad she got to go to work. You know, it's
yes. I mean, I hope they gave her a day off and some mouthwash. Everybody, we will see you on Friday. We are incredibly grateful that you show up to do this. It is one of my favorite parts of the week. It's my way to engage with y'all in the world and the things we think are important and silly to talk about. Take care of yourself. Be kind to each other. Do what you can and take a break when you need to.
Yes. All right.